ability is to know and understand how to live for a purpose. Understand your past, anticipate the future, then clarify the present. I am Mzansi, coming to you live and direct from our Johannesburg studios. This is Mzansi Podcast, and I am with my co-host.
Thank you, Tsepi. Welcome back, guys, again. Thank you for joining us on this marvelous day today. We are joined by our lovely lady here, Mrs. Masechaba.
Yeah. You actually forgot to introduce yourself. Then you introduce me, Masechaba. So I feel like you are Patrick Shai because I can't wait. I hope so.
You can't wait.
Yeah, I just can't wait to get this thing rolling. So yeah, actually, I go by the name of Ayanda Dada, your co-host. Thank you.
Pleased to meet you, Ayanda. Really?
Yeah, we are doing big things, and I've been saying, guys, I've been warning you. Big what? I forgot my comparisons. Is it big?
Big bang what?
Big,
Yeah.
what better? And from big, what do you? Bigger? Biggest. Okay.
Yes.
See, we don't know these things, but we have people that are highly qualified who will teach us these things. We have the great Masechaba Shai.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you.
To Mzansi Podcast.
Hey, Mzansi.
Mzansi Podcast.
Yes.
This is the couch that does big things. It hosts big and prolific individuals like yourself. Welcome. It's only a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
We're confused. Ayanda Masechaba. It's a pleasure.
So guys, no, it's always exciting to have such people in our studios. So we're really excited to host Masechaba today. So for those of you who don't know, Masechaba is Patrick Shai's, the late Patrick Shai's wife. So we'll be elaborating and talking about that just to get more and some clarity on who is Masechaba.
Yeah, her life and times.
Yes.
Her life and times.
Welcome to
Yes. So we welcome people with a bang here.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Masechaba Kiman, like Ayanda was saying, is the late Patrick Shai's wife. But I know you are not only Patrick Shai's wife, you are your own individual person.
Yes.
Talk us through Masechaba Kiman.
Masechaba is a girl who was born in Dobsonville.
Okay.
In Botswana, a thoroughbred Botswana.
Shout out to the
My
Mzansi.
mother is from Botswana, Serowe, and my mother is from Zirasti. But I was born in Dobsonville.
Sure.
So I grew up there. I was just a girl who was just a symbol and looking at my mother, looking at my parents, how they lived. And I had dreams like any other girl.
Sure.
I thought I can sing, at some point, when you listen to these songs and you sing with them and you think you can sing like Whitney Houston. So I was one of those girls.
Yeah.
I was playing netball in school. I was very active at school. I was not the sharpest of them in the class, but I was a hard worker. So that's Masechaba in the nutshell, like short young woman who grew in Dobsonville.
Yeah.
And I met Patrick, I think, the age of 16. He was my brother's friend.
Wow.
So then, after being friends, coming at my parents' home, coming to fetch his friend, and coming in and out, and I looked at this guy who had such big beard, who looked so handsome. In my own eyes, because he can't be handsome to everyone.
Yeah.
And I remember saying to my friends when I was growing up that I don't want to be married to a Botswana guy because I've seen how Botswana is stingy. So I think I was exaggerating or trying to just want to go to the other side of the world.
Yeah.
So when he came to my home, every time he comes, he would come like on a Sunday to fetch my brother. He would just greet me and ask for water, and I would give him water. But he could see I'm a child.
Sure.
So at the age of 17, I was in grade 11. He started just talking, just joking around. And then my brother said, I'm for it. I saw no. So because they used to call each other Swar. And then he said, Swar, I think it was Swar Kamanit. And then we dated.
Yeah.
You know, behind the scenes.
Your brothers.
there was no one in my life.
Okay.
I've never dated anyone. So he was my first, and he taught me things, and we dated for 3 months,
Yeah.
and then we got married. So
What?
that's how
Full
fast it
marriage.
was. So if I could just turn the clock back,
Okay, please.
is that
Yeah.
my father didn't want to hear anything. First of all, I'm young, I'm 17, I know
Yeah.
nothing about life. He's older, he's got beard, he's Mopedi, and we're talking how Mopedi are behaving in certain ways,
Sure.
and I didn't want to hear that. And my father, because he's from Botswana, he would normally go to Botswana and go for like 2 months, 3 months. And he would beat me up if he hears that Patrick was around, you know, and we were talking and all of that. And the relationship with my brother and Patrick just dead because my brother didn't want to hear anything.
Sure.
So every time he sees Patrick around Dobsonville, he will tell my father, and I'm going to hide him.
So you already had a story that
So,
something going on between
yeah.
you two.
Yeah.
So then my father went to Botswana at some point, and I told Patrick, oh, he's gone to Botswana. And then he said, good, if he's going to Botswana, let me write.
Wow.
A letter, and then he wrote the letter, gave it to me,
Yeah.
and I put it on the table and gave it to my mom. So my mom then had to call the elders
Wow.
to say, no,
Mothers.
this is happening, and things have
Sure.
So when my father came back, Lobola was fully paid.
He comes back home to a married woman. You are now a married woman. Yes.
Yeah.
17,
Wow.
grade 11.
Wow.
Grade 11.
So he says, I'm taking this money back. And they say, no, it won't happen. Otherwise she won't get married again. You know, like,
Yeah.
So he struggled to accept him, not because he knew me, he knew him.
Sure.
It is because I was young, he was older, and my brother told him, hey, this man has seen other people,
Yeah.
we were friends, we were doing things together. So he was not the ideal kind of guy, you know?
Yeah.
And he wasn't working on top of that. He wasn't acting on top of that.
Great.
He was just a guy who would visit. He used to drive a van. He was selling Malamohodu for this other guy from his street, Midlands, just to make a living.
Yeah.
So he wasn't the ideal son-in-law for my father. My father had the idea of this prince somewhere in Botswana who was marrying the daughter.
Yeah.
But well, everything went so fast with us. And when I was in grade 12, I was married, pregnant now,
My God.
you know.
Sure. So you never dropped out of school?
No.
Okay.
So I gave birth to my son while I was in grade 12.
Yeah.
Gave birth, went and wrote exams, passed my matric. I'm a mother, passed matric, married, boom. And then we looked for rooms. Ronan,
Yes.
go and look for a back room to stay together.
But one thing I like what Masechaba just said now, being able to pay Lobola
Yeah.
while you're doing a side hustle, that small and side hustle.
Yeah.
It just shows you what kind of a person Patrick Shai was.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how committed he was
Yes,
to you.
exactly.
Yeah.
You look at us youngsters, if you get that
Yeah.
small little money that you get, you just say, this thing is small, why not? Let me just drink it, let me just spend it.
Both
Yeah.
them said
Yeah.
Sure.
So imagine at that time you are able to pay Lobola. Lobola doesn't just come cheap. Even as people who are working, it's difficult to just make sure you accumulate that money and go pay. So I think, that was...
Very commendable.
Yeah.
Ne?
So then we stayed in the room, and then we moved from one room to another. But things started happening. He got a break.
Yeah.
He did a TV show called Shokala Pula. I don't know if you know it. I'm sure you were still a baby. And after Yona, it was another one that came, which was
that one we know.
The biggest.
It was the biggest.
And I must say, I think we were not ready for the fame. We were not ready for just the attention that he was getting. I was still young as well, naive. I didn't even go to school. I mean, after matric, I just felt I need to go and work. So I worked at another company. And from there, 2 years later, I worked at Absa Bank. From Absa Bank, I went to another company. Then I started studying while I was working. And I realized that being married to a person who is in the public eye, I need to find myself. Because I refused to be called Masechaba Patrick from an early stage. Because the family would never even know your name. So the name Masechaba was given to me when we got married. Before I gave birth to my elder son, who is Masechaba. So that's where the name comes from. And for me, I loved the name very, very much. And when I gave birth, Masechaba automatically was the son that we gave birth to. And so when we visit the family, it would be like, and I would always say, guys, again, Masechaba. Just to remind them that I cannot be under his shadow and not be known who I am. And I started working on myself to say, I need people to know that I am a human being in my own standing.
That's true.
You know, so I've always had that. Besides that, it doesn't mean all these challenges were not there, they were there.
Yes. But talk us through his biggest break. Now he's getting all the attention. You have a small kid that you are raising. But now there are struggles that comes with fame. What were those struggles and how did you then overcome them as a couple?
I guess, you know, when the violence started, it didn't start like a clap. It didn't start like that. You know, when somebody starts controlling where you're going, who you're with, where you should go, how you should dress. It started like that, but for me, it was just somebody who loves me. You know, I interpreted that as he loves me, he doesn't want anything to happen to me, and he doesn't want bad people around me. So that was my interpretation of the controlling behavior I had. So when, I think my study would also speak for itself, that that's how they lay the foundation of abusing you. So they start by controlling, making sure that the ground is done nicely, and then they start introducing the fear in you. Once you are fearful, then the clapping and everything happens. So once the clapping starts, you are now fearful, you are not yourself, you are not sure of yourself. People say you're beautiful, you don't believe it. People say you are this, you don't believe it. Because it has to come from him. If he doesn't say you're beautiful, of course you're not beautiful. If somebody says you are, you don't believe it because he has to just put a stamp on it. So they lay that kind of foundation, and then the fear started, and I was fearful of him. And the abuse was going on and on and on, up until we bought a house in Dobsenville where we stayed. And it didn't stop until he stopped. When he did Soul City, and he had to play that part, and he saw himself, he saw me in those characters, and he saw his kids in those characters. So in the middle of everything, you know, the focus was now on this abuse thing. I had neglected that there are kids, you know. So when things happen to them, we're not even aware, because I'm now trying to protect myself, to stay alive on top of everything, and also to protect this marriage, because I am a very protective mother. I would do anything for my family. I would kill for anyone to come close to my family who is a threat. And that's who I am. So even in those years, it doesn't mean I didn't open cases. I opened quite a lot of cases for him. He was arrested so many times. He had a protection order. And I think our justice system is just a disaster.
It's a disaster.
Okay. So
Yeah, it is a disaster.
and if you open a case against someone like Patrick,
yeah,
it's even worse. So you go there full of blood, crying, they jump, they say, we're going to arrest him. They get to the house, they find their hero, it's all about him. Oh, you know, I love you when you were doing this thing, when you were doing the when you were doing that. So the attention is sort of, you know, they're just away. By the time they speak to me, my blood is dried on my face, and it will be like, hey, Masechaba, you know, can we just, you know, stop the case? But because I knew my situation, I would always say, please take him, he'll come back maybe tomorrow.
So were your kids away?
My kids were away. My kids were scared of him. He was such a friendly person. But when he came home, he wasn't a friendly person. We were very scared of him. And we always made sure that nobody knows about this. But my family knew, his family knew, our neighbors knew, because at some point I would be running in the streets, you know.
So now everyone around you were trying to protect this
brand.
Yeah.
This brand of Patrick
But
Shai.
it was because I was protecting it. Remember, people will do what you want them to do for you, you know. So even if they wanted to help, but the fact that they did not get allowed it, there was nothing they can do. So, and then when the change started, I was not sure, I was not comfortable.
Yeah.
I was not sure that he means it. So we were always like, you know, I wonder, you know.
So to me, it feels like it's that person today is like this, happy moment, romantic, kind of a guy that you always wished. I'm sure that's the same guy that you saw when it all started.
Yes.
Yeah, and then somehow he
Things
switches,
changed, yeah.
and then he would come back again.
He would come back, bring me flowers, and you know, he was a good man.
Yeah.
To be honest, in all of that, I want to say my husband took care of us. He did everything for us. He did everything for us. And he knew his responsibilities. His kids went to school. He was doing homeworks for them. He would help them with homeworks. He would take them to school. He would do any. If he comes late, whether he's drunk or he's not drunk, he goes to their bedrooms and makes sure they are warm. Puts blankets on them. He had that nature of being kind and loving his kids. And with me and him having those issues, he would, when somebody else shining, if we have disagreements or in the morning, I know the kids would have fun that day. He would take them for shopping, he would buy them stuff, just to show that, you know, so the fear is one thing that took long for me to recover from. Even though he had changed, but I still feared him. And fear is just the thought of him. When you think of him, you get so scared. I used to be so scared that my stomach would run. That's how much I feared him. And when he started changing, it wasn't that easy as well for him. I would always remind him that you said you've changed. You've done that. People have seen you. You're saying you're doing this. But this is how you behave. So it was constantly reminding him that this is what you said. And I was now becoming confident that because he told the public I used to abuse my wife, it gave me a ticket to now come out and say things that I don't like. Because when abuse is happening, you can't talk, you can't complain, you can't say, why do you do this, why do you do, because you're fearful. But after that advert and him coming out, it gave me some form of freedom to now express myself. And sometimes he would feel like I'm challenging him because he went there. He went public about it. And then he would always say, maybe you want me to remind you who I am. you know, because it's not like things were not happening. It's not like we didn't disagree or we
Sure.
have challenges.
Yeah.
They still.
Because I wanted to ask if he's never abused after coming out, you know, openly to the public. He has never. Yeah.
He has never. He would always
more like relapsed.
No,
he has never relapsed.
It would come and he would remember. Oh God, this is what I've said. This is what I want my kids. I want to gain the trust of my kids. I want to make sure that I'm friends with my kids. I want to make sure that my kids now can come to me and you know when they have issues.
Yeah.
So he was fighting for that because he had lost that relationship with his kids, you know, in that period where he was just this monster that he was scared of.
Sure.
So it was his mission to do it. And what also woke him up as well to realize what impact it did to us. Because, you know, when you speak to him and say, I'm fearful of you, this is how you've made me feel, because you are just too close to each other, you go like, you just love being a victim. So when he started being an activist, meeting all these victims, meeting all these perpetrators, it started making sense to him that this is what I was doing to my kids, this is what I was doing to my wife, and that made him to drive, to make sure that he helps other people. The one thing that he would also want to talk about when we are together, he would say, but this woman, we trying to help her, we took her to the police station, she opened the case, and then the next thing she cancels, and I would like, how many times did I cancel? You know, because you cannot just say somebody's doing something and you don't reflect that what had actually happened with us. I cancelled so many cases, and it is because you just want to scare him. You just want him to change. In most cases, you just want him to change, and he doesn't change. And the more he sees this pattern of you opening, cancelling, he goes like, no, she'll cancel. So the change doesn't come that easy for that kind of person.
So with you opening up the protection order, you guys were still staying together in the same house.
Staying together.
You never thought of maybe let me just pack my bags?
I packed my bags so many times. I always say, I think all the women who pack bags. So I wasn't even packing a bag. I would pack a plastic. So when I get wherever I'm running to, I've got one shoe, the other shoe, nothing matches. You know. So and you know when you live with somebody like that, they are also strategic. They can see when you are leaving, when you are not leaving, and if he beats you today, he say, I know tomorrow you'll be gone. You would have run away. You know. Then I'm also strategic now because I know that I've got to be careful. Of who he is. So I would not leave the following day because that's what he thinks. So I would lie down 2 days, 3 days, 4th day, I'm gone. So he won't even see that I've been packing for the last 3 to 4 days. So the advice to the young girls is, it's very dangerous. It is very dangerous. Women die. Honestly, women die. So you've got to have an exit plan. You don't just pack, you don't just take your bags, you don't just walk out like any other when it's a normal relationship that you feel like, know. You don't when you're dealing with somebody who is abusive. In a lot of states, the women that die most of the time are women who have left. This man has nothing to lose now. So all he's doing is, nobody will have you. Because I don't have you. So they kill. So the numbers are high in that area. The other thing that made me to study, to continue when I did my master's, was this lived experience that said to me, God could not have put this situation on your life without you having to do something about it. So then I did my master's. And my research was on.
I think just give a clap.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. You know, not everyone manages to achieve that.
Educated women.
So I then had to get permission, the ethics letter, to go and interview those men that killed their partners in prisons. So I went to 4 correctional centers and I interviewed about 12. There was supposed to be 16. And I was so keen to speak to Oscar, I was so keen to speak to Sandy at that time, and I could not get the permission from that end. So I interviewed these men. My mission and my purpose was to understand my husband more than anything.
And he was still alive at that time?
Yes, still alive. I'm talking. I passed my master's in 2020, I graduated there. So I went to those prisons those years. He was still alive, he's an activist, he's a changed man, but I still wanted to know why he behaves the way he behaves, or why he does what he does, you know. And it was always something that did not make me sleep at night, that he loved me, and I knew that he loves me. But what makes him to just beat up this person that he loves, you know. So when I spoke to these men, I just realized there are so many similarities in them. Our men are controlled by the society, the culture, because I'm a man, this is how I should be in a relationship. Our men don't believe in partnership. Our men don't believe in a woman talking back or, you know, reasoning together. Our men still believe that they are superior in a relationship. Hence I talk about the partnership. So all of them, they just felt entitled because they pay lobola. It gives them entitlement, and they taken care of. It gives them entitlement because he buys you a weave, he buys you a car, then you become the property. So all of them, they had that kind of mentality. And for me, that was like, okay, let me step back. Is it the lobola from my side of Patrick? Maybe that's the thing. It is the controlling, the entitlement, telling me, you know. And I also said to him, I don't believe that men don't talk, men talk. You know? They go to Shebins.
Yes, we do.
And they talk. Ayanda tells them, Tsebi said this to me, and the men would influence and say, she cannot talk to you like that. Be a man, man. You know? So the explanation of being a man is not even clarified when your friend says, I man, be a man. What it means to you is show her you're a man. One of the guys who killed in those guys that I was talking to was the fact that he felt belittled because they were having an argument, and the neighbor came, and the neighbor felt that he is not powerful enough, you know, to handle the situation. He went into the bedroom, took the gun, shot the wife. So for him, he didn't even understand that handle the situation like a man meant sit down or maybe calm down. Or maybe go out, take a break and come back later. So some of the things that we discuss on the table, we don't clarify those concepts, that this is not what I mean, this is what it means.
It's more like proving a point.
It's more like proving a point that I can do this. I've got muscles, you don't have muscles. You know?
That's true.
But women talk. So when I did my doctorate then, it didn't stop there.
Doctorate?
Now I'm feeling the heat.
Now I think now
pressure is mounting.
No, we shouldn't call her Mrs. Masechaba.
Doctor Masechaba Shai.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you become a doctor now, when you are a doctor doing your doctorate, you've got to come with a solution. Remember, you found a problem when you do your masters. Now you must come with a solution. You go to a doctor, you tell him, I've got this, then he tells you, okay, you must drink this. That's the solution. Sure of your sickness. So yes, and when I did that, I felt that it would be unfair that I think that perpetrators are male. I did and got all the articles and said, I need to find the women perpetrators.
Yeah.
Because they are there.
They can't be.
And also because in my family, there was a female perpetrator. And nothing was spoken. You know, so my study was balanced in that way to make sure that female perpetrators and male perpetrators are helped. You know, so that's the solution that I came with, and I'm busy building a model to help them change the behavior. You know, to just change who they are and relook into the culture thing, because even the religion contributes to the behaviors. So it is quite a lot of things that I found that I felt I need to just, and unfortunately for men, because of how society looks at them and dictates to them, it is not easy for them to open a case or to go to a police station and say, nah, bad club. Because they laugh at you. Yes. But it doesn't mean they don't laugh at us as well. They do. You know? So, and laughing comes with, what did you do to him? You provoked him. You provoked him. Or maybe you've got a boyfriend. Why do you open a case? It is all those things. We were talking earlier when you said gender-based violence is rife now. And I said to you, it was there many years ago. It's not new. It was in those pockets where our elders were told anything that is family related, that is marriage or anything, it's private. So a lot of cases were not reported. And it doesn't mean women or men were not dying in those years. But social media is now, it is out there, opening things.
Coming back, there was an interesting point that you mentioned that Patrick Shai, he has always been that suicidal from an early age, and even this abuse, being the man that he is it something that actually he took it from home? Maybe it was something that was happening from home, or it's something that started?
The one thing that, not from an early age, I mean, he would always talk about just ending his life. People who are controlling, they like to threaten, they like to, because they like to manipulate. So they manipulate to get their way. So the only way is to, like, you know, I could rather die. You know? So I think it's about 3-4 years ago where he almost attempted, but he used the car, he wanted to guess himself. So at least with the car, he started the car and I could hear it, and I went and I asked him, what are you doing? And that's how he didn't do it. So it is just people wanting to get their way. You know, we don't agree. I want to drink water. He says, no, drink Coke. And I said, no, I want water. And he says, if you don't listen to me, I'd rather die. You know, so they use those they are very manipulative to get their way, to be listened to be in control of the situation. And if things do not work out sometimes, and these people end up just hitting you, using other ways of just hitting you. So much as he felt that he is not in control anymore, because once you take away his power, he's losing it.
So Masechaba, what was that one moment that you recall so vividly where you thought you would have died, or you could have died?
Oh my
when he abused that, you don't even know how you made it alive.
Oh my God.
What was the magnitude of that abuse, and what really happened?
I still remember that day like it was yesterday. And take my word, I loved my husband with all my heart. I wanted us to live until the end of time. Right? But when he is in that moment of fighting, I remember those years, he changed from the kind, loving man to this person who is uncontrollable. So he was suspicious of some sort of a relationship that he thought I have. And with people like this, you always have to say, okay, yes, I did it, and then you apologize, and there's nothing, you know, because they want to hear what they want to hear. And then that night, I remember that night, he came very late. He came around 12, 1, and then he said, "You are taking me to the boyfriend," and there was no boyfriend. So, you know, God works in mysterious ways. I remember getting into that car, and he got into the car with me.
Early hours of
the morning. So I don't know where I'm driving to, because I'm told there's a boyfriend.
Was he drunk or something? Or it was
sometimes almost drunk, almost not drunk. I don't know. But I mean, it was that state of mind. He was just ready to just fight me to get the truth. And then we drove, and I remember we were driving, and I kept saying, "There's nothing, there's no one, there's nothing." And he just kept believing that there is something, there is someone, you know? And he beat me up. I remember we were in the middle of, there's a place called Extension 3 now. There are houses now. That time there were no houses.
Okay.
So he parked on the side, and he beat me, and he locked the car. And I remember him grabbing my neck with his legs, and I was like, I could not breathe. And I had this small prayer, praying that, "Oh God, you know." While he's busy beating me up, there was a car coming. Oh, and I was so relieved. Guess what? It was the police. So they stop. He opens the window. I can't speak. Remember, there's fear. There's all of that. So, and they said, "What's wrong?" No, we're waiting for my friend. We were stuck with petrol and what, so we're gonna go. And they said, "Okay, I'll be safe." And they left.
So they did not see the state you were in.
Okay. So first of all, I saved my life, I think, by not talking, by not saying this is what he's doing. Or he could have been arrested, maybe. I don't know what could have happened. I'm not sure. But that night I remember so well, that from then we came back home and he slept. And I remember my other sister who's late, one day she said to me, "What does he do after he beat you up?" I said, "Because he's so tired, because fighting is tiring. He sleeps, he snores." And then he said, "And then what do you do?" I'm like, "Nothing, I'm scared, you know." And I said, "I would kill him." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah.
You know, so I still remember it has been so many incidents where I almost felt I'm dying. You know, I almost felt I'm dying. I remember he came into the bedroom one day. I don't know what was the fight all about, and he also grabbed my neck.
Yeah.
And I could hear my son saying, "Papa, don't kill it, don't kill it, don't kill it." And once he heard the screaming, and then he just stopped. And after some time, it's like it was something that was in him that was just fighting me, and then he'd go and sleep, and then tomorrow it's a new day. I've got this blue eye. He'll take me to the doctor. He'll take care of me. He'll bring flowers. He'll bring chocolates. He'll do all those things. So it's a circle of somebody who needed help, I think, at the time, and we didn't understand what to do for him. It was all about me surviving. I was fighting to survive, and but when he changed, I felt the relief, and I said, "Joe, I need to do something with my life. I need to just work hard with my life to make sure that if I pack my bags one day, I will never come back. You know, I will just go forever."
Yeah.
But my husband never wanted divorce for as long as I remember, because I think I filed divorce 4 times in our life, and we would go maybe first court and another family. So now people were taking us as jokes, you know, and then we'll sit there, and then we'll say, but we can sort it out. And then we'll go, "Yeah, Donna." And then we'll talk to the lawyers, and then we'll cancel. And then we'll just pay them while we you know, so, and one day, I remember he said, "Hi, Suga, let's go to the Home Affairs and just cancel all this." You get into the car, go to the Home Affairs. It's so funny. This country is funny. So there are couples there coming to get married. There are those that came for their maintenance. There are these us who are here for divorce. And then we sit here thinking like, Joe, life is such a movie. You know, we want to divorce, they are getting married. They, you know, it's like it's such a confusion. And then we'll look at each other and go like, but can we just stop this drama? And then we'll just and go back home.
Look how beautiful they are.
Yeah, you
know,
and then we'll go back home. So it's been a roller coaster of that kind of life. And because I knew and understood him, I just felt it would be so painful if we divorced, and he would cry, like he would call everyone that he knows that Masechaba is filed for divorce and all of that. So I knew that it's something that he doesn't want.
So what about days leading up to his death? What was happening? How was the environment like?
The environment was okay. He was an activist, remember?
Yes.
He was, and the fights were not happening anymore.
Okay.
We've been out of that place for many years now. We have just normal challenges, normal disagreements there and there. And I remember that Monday he was going with this other guy. They were going to court. I don't know if you remember. There's a lady who was hanged. Who was pregnant.
Yes.
So he was helping. So he was helping them, going with them to court. He was coming from court.
Okay.
So I was at work.
Okay.
So he was coming from court, and then I don't know where they went after the court, and then the video happened.
Yes.
And I'm not on Twitter. I'm not even actively on Facebook. Facebook is, I'll just post something once in a while. I'm not that kind. I'm not active. You know, for me, it doesn't pay bills. So,
true.
then the Twitter thing happened, and we've got a family group with all of us. And my daughter called on the family group, and I could hear my daughter talking to him, and I hear they're arguing, and I don't know what they're arguing about. Yeah, but then you can't do this. What about us? You don't think of us, you know? So it's going on. I'm like, what's happening? And then she sends me a link, and she says, watch the link. And then I go onto the link. I see this. I'm like, you know, but he's not home. You know, he's answering this phone somewhere.
Somewhere.
And then I'm sitting now at home. He comes, and then I ask him, what's going on? He says, I'll explain to you. Hey, you know, if this thing, it causes us so much attention, it was just a publicity stunt. It didn't mean that I want to, you know. So then we spoke, and he was like on some level of talking with other people. People were calling him, and then I remember then I went to sleep late as well. And then I realized that he actually didn't sleep because the calls were coming the whole night up until the morning, and then I could hear that he's on the radio. My friends are calling me, what's going on? I'm like, guys, I don't know. So I was even scared to go to the office now on Tuesday. I didn't go to the office. I sent them a message that, I'm not feeling well. Work from home. Wednesday worked from home, but he was in and out, but it didn't look like there's anything that he's like, but he was actually busy planning his exit from this life, from this world. And then we had a conversation then, as I explained to you, on Friday, which was over 2 hours of conversation, where he was talking about how he had wronged me in the past, how he had treated me, how he is so apologetic, how he is so sorry. And then I remember he called his brothers, and one of them didn't answer. He was busy apparently, and the other one answered and said, please ask Masechaba to forgive me. spoke to me, and I said, no, it's fine. We spoke, and then we had dinner, had tea, and then he slept. So I slept late as well.
Yeah.
And then I went to sleep. So in the morning, it's that waking up again, Donna, I'm so sorry. And I said, no, sharp, I'm tired, like I slept late yesterday. And then waking up 2 hours later, then I get to the garage, he's gone. But you know, when I first saw him, it didn't feel like he's gone.
It's really, yeah. It's like we're dreaming.
Because I'm like, we were talking now. We spoke yesterday. I thought we are okay.
Sure.
And then I called Schaba. Schaba came down from his bedroom, came around. I said, I don't know what's this. And then he comes, he runs, he screams, he takes out the rope, puts him down. He says, Ma, he's not breathing. And I said, no, he's okay, he'll breathe. And I called my other friend who doesn't stay far from us, she's a nurse. And I said, please come over, because I don't know what's happening. Then I called Kopano and Tepi, because they're not staying in the house.
Sure.
And I said, whatever you were planning to go, come home now. And they came, and chaos started. So the police came, the paramedics came, and it became just the end of the episode. It was not a nice feeling. It was the worst thing. You know, I always tell my friends that, you know, when God wants to turn your life, He will turn your life in a second. My life was turned around in a split second that morning. You know, and as we speak now, it's going to be 6 months now. I haven't grieved at all. I don't know how grieving is, because there's quite a lot of things that have been happening. A lot of people that were fighting him. A lot of enemies that were fighting him. And now I've inherited the enemies. So I'm fighting the enemies. I haven't had a rest to just grieve him, you know. The only thing that I can say is I managed to just give a parallel role and role just before I graduated. And that's the one thing that I did for myself. That I needed to just gain my strength again and find myself again, because he's no more. So it is quite it is chaotic. It is so chaotic, it's not nice. But we always think of him. There are so many videos going around. We share the videos with the kids. Sometimes we play the song and then we start dancing like him. He loved fun, he loved nice life, he loved his alcohol, he loved good life, you know, and he loved his all-stars. So he had quite all colors of all-stars, all shapes.
And he'd wear that with the suit.
Yeah, he would wear that with the suit.
I remember it was this song that he was singing, if life is a,
yeah.
Yes.
He was very sure. Yes.
That's when I saw that, you know, there's that motivating kind of vibe of a person.
He was too creative. Anything, there would be a song from just looking at these flowers or this bottle or these mics. He would just come up with something, and it would be very interesting. He was unique in his own way. He made us laugh.
And very intelligent.
Very intelligent, very wise, and he would make us laugh, he would make us angry, irritated, and he would make it a joke again and say, oh guys, I know how to switch you on and off it. And he was just the kind of man.
He didn't leave anything, maybe a letter or maybe to state what was the reason for all this?
No. I can tell you that on Friday, just before we had the 2-hour conversation, he sent me a note of that apology, you know. So I was in the office.
Okay.
So when I drove back, then the conversation was triggered by this note. Then I said, let's talk about this apology of yours, because I don't know why. Because we always talk, you always apologize. And that's when he started talking about his apology, how he didn't become the man that I could have been proud of, or and the things that he did. He's very, very sorry for those things. And I think also what people were saying on Twitter, some of them, he said, a lot of these things that people are saying about me are not true, Masechaba, and I don't know how to fix those things. And you know, the sad part for me was, these are the people who took pictures with him. Every time they met him, they loved him, they just pretended to love him. I think they just pretended. And when that thing happened, they became his enemy now. Attacking him. And all the people that were in the funeral, that came over, that supported, and those that came with ulterior motives, everything just came out. You know, we see them, we understand why they were there in the first place. Opportunists were there, enemies were there, and some of the things we don't even know. I mean, my husband would tell me certain things, he would not tell me other things. So when they start showing their colors and showing who they are and whatever, then I started cutting people off my life. I started cutting people off my life. And I think that's how I managed to just stay away from even the social.
But do you think, had it not been for that video, perhaps
he would have been still alive?
You think it triggered him to even take his own life?
Yeah, it did.
Let's talk life after Patrick. May his soul rest in peace. May his soul rest in peace. Life after Patrick Shai.
Yeah.
Masechaba
is now a doctor.
Yes.
Who is still working. I won't mention the name of my company. My plan now is to build a rehabilitation center for the perpetrators, both men and females. And I feel like it will be easy to get them. You know, when you go to the police station and say, my boyfriend does this, that would be my client.
You'd be living up to your name, Masechaba.
So that's what I want to do. And as I think in the next 3 to 4 years, I would have, if God is still with me. Yes, that's the plan.
I think there's one question that I actually wanted before us to
okay, shoot.
After all this incident happened, after the funeral and all that, you know, as it always happened, especially to most you guys, women, that when your husband pass away, you always get this from family members, from friends, pointing at you to say, you actually triggered this whole thing. You are the one. It is what it is today. It's because of you. Even though you didn't do anything, or even if you were not even around, probably you were in the UK, and something like this happened.
You had something to do with it.
So getting all these things, people pointing at you, it's you. How did it feel, and how did you manage to treat that situation?
When I say it became chaotic, is that I think I went back to work end of February.
Okay.
While I was in the middle of working and trying to find myself, because I was going to the cemetery every day, and then I get an SMS one day, an SMS that says, "You drove him to his death. You are evil. You and I mean I killed him too." That's what the SMS was. But it was the longest SMS. Now I'm sitting there, I'm shaking, I'm still bleeding with pain. You know, and I'm wondering, who could this be? And I start thinking of all these people that Patrick had worked with that were always fighting with him, because he would tell me, this one did this to me, this one did this one did this. And wherever they are, they think I don't know what they used to do to him. So I get that SMS. While I'm still there, a few days later, I get other SMSs again. My son gets SMS, Kopano gets the SMS, Tipi gets the SMS. Yeah, you drove your father. Yeah, you drove your father. So it's just managing those emotions that has kept us together and saying, oh goodness, how could people think we could have done this? And I must say, if I had wanted to kill Patrick, it would have been those years. It was easy to kill him. He beat me up and sleep. I would have killed him.
Sure.
Like, seriously that time.
Yeah.
Right now, I had no reason to kill him. Actually, I was living my life. I was busy with my studies. On the day of the memorial, I was supposed to present at the Well Conference my article, and I couldn't present.
Okay.
So my professor presented for me. So that time when I was talking, I could have been presenting. And they stopped the conference, and they listened to me, and they continued with the conference. So I had no reason really to kill him. And sadly is that those people then wanted my kids to be against me. And they tried. And they tried with Kopano, and Kopano just said, get out of my place, get out of my house, that's my mom, and that's my father that you're talking so bad about. He chased them away, and they started swearing at Kopano. And then they tried on Masechaba. I would have wanted to just explain about Masechaba, but I just don't want to give it oxygen.
Okay.
And that person thought she had won, to take Masechaba away, and then Masechaba back home now. And all the things that have been, they were planning to take away, some of them wanted to take Patrick's organization, they couldn't. And then now they are angry, but they took a lot of his projects. They tried to run with those projects. And I told my kids that, let them have those projects. Let them run with them. We're going to start our own thing. We're going to, build his organization as family. Without those people, we can do it as us only.
Sure.
With the help of our legal team, and we've got this other lady who's a psychologist. So we are helping other people that keep on calling and saying we've got issues, and we always direct them to the relevant people to speak to. So when we get even those bookings, we haven't even made our website active, because the website was done by those people that are now the enemy. So we're going to start from the ground, from scratch. But nothing of Patrick will change. His logo will remain, his vision will remain, his mission will remain. But all that those people did for him, we're going to scrap it out and start as a family and do what he wanted us to do. Because that's what he wanted. He wanted change for himself, and he wanted change for other people. Yes.
And one thing I like about this conversation is that, sadly, that is the reality of black widows, if I may put it like that, in the black society. Once a man passes away, a woman is to blame, as if they won't pass away. You know? So, but we are grateful to God for granting you the strength to conquer all the challenges, to be this wonderful woman that you are, wonderful mother, and a wonderful wife. You are not a widow. You don't look anything like a widow, okay? You look younger than any of us. Right?
And one thing I like about her is she's a strong woman, I can tell. And you just need to, but in Imbo.
Definitely. So I remember telling my kids even at the memorial that I will do anything for you. If I have to sacrifice, I will stand in front. People can rather kill me, but they must leave my kids alone. So that's the kind of woman I am.
And protective. Newspapers, they will try by all means, especially Twitter, they will try and drag your name into the mud.
No, they did. I mean, I read something where they say, how dare she addresses us, and I'm like, I'm not addressing anyone. I'm talking at my husband's funeral. To start with. Secondly, if he can wake up again and die tomorrow, I'll do the same and even polish my speech for him. If I had died first, Patrick was going to be my MC. I can guarantee you. So I would do it again and again and again, whether you like it or not. And the fact that people are talking about the culture, I wasn't married to culture, I was married to Patrick Shai, who was a people's person.
Yeah.
So somebody needed to speak, and my kids were not in a position to speak. They were too weak, they were still crying because they cry. I don't cry. I've dried up, you know, so I would do it over and over and over again. The job continues. Kuluma Doda will continue, whether people like it or not, because I am that strong person. I don't fear anyone. No one can stand in. I always tell people that give me the mountain and I will navigate myself around it and I will get to the other end.
It has been a total pleasure
having
this conversation with you and literally hearing you talking about your uncomfortable truth. It takes courage, it takes strength, you know, and a lot of prayer, like you've been alluding. Your final words of encouragement to our viewers, young women who are in abusive relationships, young men who are abusing women, and vice versa.
I think I want to start with the mothers. Mothers who will sit with their girls while their girls are cleaning up and say, you must get a rich husband. We are not empowering our girls. If our girls have to go out there and look for rich men. Because once you have a rich man, you are going to be a property of that man. And that's where the abuse is. Take your kids to school. Let them be themselves. Let them pursue what they want to be. Because I believe that if you are empowered, you'll be a better woman. You'll be able to make those better choices, better than what we've done for ourselves. So I want to encourage mothers that lobola should not even be a thing of a discussion when you talk to your child, who is a girl or a boy. Take your kids to school, let them be empowered so that they do things for themselves. First of all, we put in pressure on men because we expect them to be rich and they are not rich. And they come, they are expected to be rich and they start hustling, they start doing things that they are not supposed to do just to please the mothers-in-laws or the girlfriends, because expectations are you've got to get somebody who's got money. So that's what I want to say. If you want the weave, ask your father to buy it for you. Those boyfriends are not your father. And boys, go to school as well. Stop using drugs. Nothing will numb the pain. If the pain is there, it's there. You just need to just work on that pain and identify what is it that makes me sad or angry or in pain or feeling the way I feel. You know, go to therapy, because I know that people are not fans of therapists. But it helps because they ask you, how do you feel, what happened, you know, they take you back to where you come from and start dealing with those emotions of yours that are hidden. You know, so that's what I want to say. If I was in control of the system, I would do away with lobola. I would say, marry my child, don't pay lobola, don't make her change her surname, so that she remains, she doesn't forget who she is, she doesn't lose her identity. Because the sad part for me was, I remember last year, I don't remember what my daughter was doing. She's 31, and she called me one day, Ma, what is your maiden name? You know, because it just shows that I lost myself in this marriage. So my daughter doesn't know what was my surname before I got married. So I want us to remember where we come from, to know who we are, you know, and don't lose who you are, don't lose your identity, don't lose that vision that you had. Because the fact that I graduated with my doctorate, it was because I saw my mom being such a very dedicated domestic worker who was ironing underwears. And I said, I will never be that domestic worker that irons underwears. I will do better for my family. If there is anything in the family that you feel like I need to change, do it. Change yourself and do better for the family. change those generational, just break them, those generational curses.
Yeah.
Profound words from the great Dr. Masechaba Shai. Like I had to say that, right? Remind people you are not just anyone. You are a whole doctor, okay? With a PhD, of course. Thank you so much for your time on Mzansi podcast, sharing insight. Like we could go on and on.
It's been the whole night. It's been 40 years with Patrick, and when people say talk 5 minutes, I'm like, 40 years, 5 minutes, I don't know. If I don't know if it doesn't balance.
You know, we appreciate you so much on Mzansi podcast. You are family within Mzansi podcast, okay? Like you are that person that will call every now and then to say, we've got young women who are abused, because we like to give them a platform, but we always say, let's also grant men who are abusive and who've been abused.
The
platform to speak.
And it's always good to have such conversation, because most people, especially this public figure, you would see this guy, the celebrity, you would think he's the best thing ever. And with these young boys growing up, especially even girls, we look at this woman or this man, I want to be like him. Not knowing that this person, even after music or after acting, he's a normal person.
He's a normal person.
I need to go back home.
Where the challenges are.
Exactly.
Yes.
And we've been reiterating by saying GBV happens to each and every person.
No high discrimination.
High discrimination. No race, high class.
No, high class, high standard, high color.
No,
yes.
Signing out on Mzansi podcast. Me, Tsepi, Dr. Masechaba Shai, and
your boy.
Wait, no, you're not a shy though.